All right, let's move on to what is supposed to be a biopic on one of the greatest. The last movie that we have here for the weekend must watch, a film that has been getting a lot of love from the Jenners. Complete Unknown is the newest film starring Timothee Chalamet, directed by James Mangold, who I think is a solid director. Even if he may be giving you like a really good one, kind of iffy, but then he goes back to like a really good one. He's made classics. He got, if I'm not mistaken, the first Oscar for Angelina Jolie in Girl Interrupted. Can't remember if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure this is the one she won.
First and only.
Yeah,
could be wrong.
Well, no, she's not getting it from Maria. Logan, a classic. Ford v Ferrari is solid. But the big thing is that I love Walk the Line, and I was not expecting, not necessarily another biopic from the man, but another biopic that stars
Johnny Cash.
Another Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And I like that new Johnny
is just
Cash,
as good
bro.
as the last one. Yeah.
Yo, I was seeing him pop up, and I'm like, you can give me a whole movie of that. I'll take it. No problem. Where is he? I don't know. He's not popping up. Boyd Holbrook. Way too low. Way too low on this list. He came in with that chin, the voice, and I was like, all right, let's do this. The movie ain't about him, though, even though there's a certain point where Bobby just does whatever he tells him to. But A Complete Unknown is a Timothée Chalamet vehicle where he is going from different points across the country as he becomes this folk singer, going as far as even getting on the folk records, singing at folk festivals, wanting to just be himself until he realizes he may need to conform to what the rules of folk music are. I want to say that's really what the premise of this movie is. In the background, the world may be exploding, and he's got lovers, but it's, can Bobby be himself?
Right. My take on it was sort of how this moment in the 1960s where America was in the midst of all this like cultural and social upheaval ended up sort of making Bob Dylan until the point when he kind of transcended that moment, until he became too big for that moment, right? Because this is a film that also features, like elements of the Cuban Missile Crisis and Martin Luther King's March on Washington. So it is very much aware and making the social climate part of the story of Bob Dylan here. But in a lot of ways, it's about how Bob Dylan kind of turned his back on that moment.
I've seen people say that all of those instances were ways for him to be like, "Oh, I could write a song about this and take advantage of it." And it's been interesting to see, reviews for the movie, but reviews of the man, because that is what it's doing yet again. It's this idea of who was Bob Dylan? Was he the activist that people wanted him to be? Was he this complete unknown? In the film, some people are judging it off of whether he should be this idol or not. I'm sure you saw the Boots Riley thread that was going on Twitter where, he acknowledges the man and his gifts, but at the same time was like, you kind of did turn your back on the machine, or you turned your back and went with the machine, I should say, that he pretty much became the poster child. And if you know Boots Riley, I mean, he kind of made a movie where he showed you that organizations are willing to have the protest be under them, be manned by them. And he had some good breakdowns if you wanted to go see that. In terms of the movie itself, I think he gives an interesting performance. It's not bad. The real good performances come from Elle Fanning, in my opinion. I think she does a solid job. Not written the best because they go, how about you just cry as his girl right there? And I thought they could have done better with her writing. Monica, probably the most solidified performance here in what she's supposed to serve in terms of his creative partner more than the lover that's on the side. They even write songs about that. One of her best songs, as we were going back on Apple, is about that. And her relationship with what's his name? Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the performance where the man didn't even say a word.
Yeah,
I thought was the heart of the movie.
Scoot Magoot.
They're all trying to get on records and stuff and who's worthy of being folk, but at the end of the day, everyone has this idol that they look back to, that they're really asking for like acknowledgement from, the okay. Like I said, there's a lot of bits where he does that for Johnny Cash, but he really is the heart of the movie in terms of being the older folk legend who is now in a hospital and can't speak, but they go to visit him, and they use him just enough. There's not even any more scenes I would add to him. He was exactly what he needed to be.
No, I mean, I think, to get an actor like Scoot McNairy into a role where he doesn't really have much, if any, dialogue, like, you got to know that this is an important part. And the role that Woody Guthrie plays in sort of the journey of Bob Dylan's character, you kind of want somebody who radiates like importance, stardom or something, because like this is a significant figure. And he bookends the movie, so like it is a really important part of this. I thought it was really effective the way they used Scoot McNairy and Woody Guthrie in telling the story of Bob Dylan. He's excellent. Want to shout out my guy Edward Norton, who I thought was quite excellent in his kind of sing-songy Mr. Rogers style.
You got that down, yeah. It was very much like that. Yeah. We needed more of him. This ends up becoming the movie. The old versus the new. And I wanted to see more of that because this is the dude who kind of, I want to say brings him under his wing, but does invite him over. And I thought we were going to get more of them. It's a great supporting performance from him. But obviously they spend the time to go see Bob Dylan become Bob Dylan as he comes back. And I don't know, there was moments where they're building up. I really like a lot of what he brings to the movie.
Yeah.
They made him go way the opposite of Dylan at one point, just so he could be the opposite of Dylan. And I don't know if you felt this, but there are moments where the movie's so up Bob Dylan's butt, man. There's a moment where he performs and they're like, oh my, you would have sworn the way they cheered him on that he just sang for cancer and cured it. It was a little much to me, man.
If you're talking about the times they are a changing scene, I kind of loved that one.
I like the way he performed, but they cry. This is the first time they're hearing it. Well, they thought the times changed right as he strummed.
Well, I think to me that's a scene that really gets at the idea of Dylan as this kind of, almost of his day viral sensation. You know, he came to the Newport Folk Festival where people were performing entirely songs that were traditionals and covers of other songs. And here's this like 23-year-old kid who's bringing completely original songs that speak to the moment. And it's just sort of like, it's this change. It's this difference. So I kind of liked that moment in the movie. I also really I think I might be a little bit more positive on Timmy in general in this film. I think
maybe
he does quite a good job of embodying the sort of mystery of the Dylan character without just playing him as an enigma. To me, he's kind of like an opportunist who sees...
Wait, we agree?
Yeah, he's like looking for his moments to... insert himself into this moment, but he's actively building the myth of himself. You know, he talks about how he was like, he learned how to play the guitar in the carnival, and there's that whole moment with the photo album where Fanning's like, let's not look at that. Like the whole movie's like trying to not answer questions about Bob Dylan, and I think there's something about the air that Chalamet brings to it that even if it's not necessarily like a pitch perfect Bob Dylan impression, to me, it got the spirit of Dylan in this moment.
Is it bad to say that it's a good performance because he's showing how try-hard the dude was?
Yeah, I think that's totally accurate.
Right? Again, I don't think that's a bad thing. For me, it's sometimes I felt the accent would go in and out, but he's got that cool, like you're saying, where he wants to be perceived as this person. And I think that there's elements of it to like how he gets a song played. He can't be the originator. He's got to play oldies. But technically, if I give it to the girl who I'm with, and she's right,
she was on the cover of Time magazine,
exactly. And I like how then Elle's character is like, oh no, is she taking him? And he's like, you don't know what we got going on here. I would even go as far as that. There's an element in the background, like you were saying, of an opportunist, where Elle Fanning's character gets introduced specifically because her sister works for the folk records thing, and you see that guy get introduced. He goes, that guy. If he puts you in the books, you're in. And I'm like, oh, are we going to address this? They're like, no, if you can connect it, we'll connect it. We're going to jump 5 years later where him and the guy have already gone through everything. And he goes, Bobby boy, how have you been? And I'm like, fascinating. So would he have had much of an in if he didn't have the in at the folk record store? I want to see that story. And it's almost like they're telling you, you guys can connect the dots onto the next thing. Because that's one of the other dudes that he pisses off a lot at the end. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. I think I'm still rating it pretty highly. I did expect a little bit more from James Mangold, who's already made the biopic. I don't expect a parody on other ones, but
I don't know if this reaches quite the level of Walk the Line, but I did like it quite a bit. I think one of the things that I really appreciated about it is the fact that this really is so jam-packed with music. I feel like the first half hour of this film, they have like more musical performances than they have scenes with dialogue, which is ultimately like what you want when you're coming to a movie about one of the greatest songwriters of all time, right? So I really appreciated that. I appreciated how good the performances themselves were. It's been reported on before, but this movie was supposed to happen around the breakout of the pandemic, so it got delayed several years, and in the interim, Chalamet learned how to play guitar. So now you can sit in a wide shot with him and Monica Barbaro, and they're really singing and they're really playing guitar, and they're putting fucking Rami Malek and Marissa Abela to shame. Because when you can really do this stuff, there's something magical about it. And to see really talented people performing really beautiful songs, I think that's worth the price of admission, at least.
That's fair. Great point. A Complete Unknown out in theaters. Let us know your thoughts down below, and whether Timothee is your favorite of the year, because if he wins, I think that's the record breaker.
Yeah.
Even younger than Brody.
It'd be really interesting because Adrian Brody, when he won the Oscar, let me go onto IMDb.
What?
Yeah, 102, something like that.
It's the birthdays are off. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me pull this up on IMDb so I get this exactly right. So he won in 2003, so I guess the movie was 2002. Okay. So never mind. I might have this one a little bit wrong, but anyway, the point being, Adrian Brody was the previous youngest winner of Best Actor when he won for The Pianist, and in all likelihood, they will be nominated against each other. So it'd be an interesting passing of the torch of sorts for Timmy to take that title from him while Brody is nominated in the same category.
That would be or he takes it and he goes, "Know your place, man."
Yeah, exactly. Brody ends up winning it.
No, that's crazy. You can only do it once more. You see a lot of people get nominated, and you see it in their faces. This is the only time I'm going to be able to carry the little ticker at the bottom that says I'm the first of whatever it is. He may take it away from him, but hey, Timmy's due his at any point. I'm okay with him not getting it for it, but I still think this was a good performance by him. I think his press run has been really good. Shout out the Nardwuar interview. Fantastic.
So good.
But yeah, check out the movie. Let us know your thoughts down below.